Okay, so we're on page 2 of Karl and the Smithy. And before I start page 2, I just want to change one thing. Remember I said I wanted something stronger? Not so much liked, but you know what? I'm going to give Erica back relished, which I took away from her here because I said that was filtering, okay? And it is here, but it would work really nicely here. I think she would like that. Okay, for the second page of Cal and the Smithy, he twitched his flank, the dried mud becoming itchy where it tugged at the hair. Now, it's not the mud that's itchy, it's his flank. So we're going to have to move this around. So I think that works better. You don't even need this. He twitched his flank, itchy where dried mud tugged at the hair. So you see how much smoother that would be? Maybe he needed more than a quick splash. So he's at the town square fountain, trying to clean up before he sees the smithy. It was still early in the day. It was still early. I don't think we need this. And Smithy's hammer rang around the square. Now, it's not so much the hammer as the sound of the hammer, right? So we can say, and the sound of Smithy's hammer, or just simply Smithy's hammering rang around the square. There was time. He twitched his flank, itching where dried mud tugged at his hair. Yes, I think that's better. Yeah, I think that's implied. I don't think we need this. Cal trotted to the tree line, eager for shade in the rising heat. He flicked his tail in an attempt to dry the last of the mud there, while he brushed down his barrow as far as his hands could reach. Now again, this is a very long sentence, so I'm going to shorten it. And I think we can because he flicked his tail. So what's he trying to do? Is he trying to dry the mud there, or maybe he's just trying to get rid of the mud? Let's see. I don't think it's necessary. I think this is we can safely delete that without losing anything. He flicked his tail to dry or get rid of, one or the other. And I don't think we need this either. While he brushed down his barrow as far as his hands could reach, as far as he could reach. I think that's implied too, that he's using his hands. Okay, so that makes for a shorter sentence. Let's see if it flows. He flicked his tail to dry the last of the mud while he brushed down his barrow as far as he could reach. Yes, I think that flows better. Dirt still tickled along his stomach, but it would have to wait. No matter how he bent and twisted, there were just some spots he could not reach on his own. Okay, you know what I'm going to do with just? I don't think we need it. And I think this bit is implied. So, no matter how he bent and twisted, there were some spots he could not reach. Yes. So we haven't lost anything, okay, by getting rid of these little bits here. He imagined rough hands reaching those spots for him. Calloused working hands. Smithy's hands. Oh, yes. So, the ones that routinely ran along his fetlocks, all business, but maybe not forever. Okay, so this is lovely. This is really good UST. Imagine rough hands reaching those spots for him. Calloused working hands. Yes, the ellipses work really nicely here. Smithy's hands. So there's a sentence fragment here, and I think what we can do is, because we're talking basically about the same thing, right? We can continue with the ellipses here. Because Smithy's hands are the ones that routinely ran along Carl's fetlocks or business. And you know what? We can actually use ellipses here too. Ellipses are really good to use. Not everywhere, but where in something like this, but maybe not forever. So it's like Carl is imagining, right? He's wondering what's going to happen in the future, and you as the writer are inviting the reader to imagine along with your protagonist, right? So this would be a good place to put the ellipses. Yes. Yes, and nice that I like that she set this off with an M dash. I wouldn't have thought of that. I would, you could always just end the sentence here. It's a long sentence. You can end the sentence here with a full stop, and have a sentence fragment, or business, but maybe not forever. I like the use of the M dash here though. It kind of sets it apart, so you have like more emphasis here, and it's a really good line. This is great. It's funny, how people come to me and say, oh, I don't write romance, and this is what they give me in a matter of months. This is brilliant. Okay. Yeah, I like this a lot. Okay. As clean as he could be, Carl made his way back in onto the cobblestones, the concussion sending a jarring ring up his unshod foot. Okay, as clean as he could be. As clean. So he's been cleaning up at the fountain, right? So it's not just about being clean, it's about, making himself look presentable, more than presentable, making himself look good for Smithy. So I almost feel like this should be, word choice. I would probably go for something like spruce. He's kind of tried to spruce himself up, right? So as clean as he could be, as spruced up as he managed to be, something like that. Because that's really what he's been trying to do. He's trying to spruce himself up before seeing Smithy. So spruce. Spruced up. Was he managed? Something like that. Carl made his way back onto the cobblestones. Now, this is not the best word choice because it almost made me think like, oh, did he fall and hit his head? So concussion is not the word I would use here. I would probably use something like impact, sending a jarring ring up his unshod foot. A grey horse stood at Smithy's tie rack, one foot up on his knee as he felt the toe round. Okay, so the foot belongs to the horse and the knee belongs to Smithy. Okay, so to be even clearer, how about something like resting, one foot resting on his knee? Yeah, I think I prefer resting Karl stopped alongside, not wanting to interrupt the man's work. He stopped alongside. Now, this made me think where exactly he was standing. Was he beside the horse or was he beside Smithy? So, and stop again, it's not a very strong verb, so I want to see the position in space. So, I'm going to ask for a little bit of detail. Just expand it a bit here to show where everybody is, okay, and show just to give us a little bit of color and flavor. Is he outside his barn? Where is he? Where's the horse? Where's Karl standing with relation to these two? I don't want a lot of detail, but I just want to be able to picture what's going on, okay? Well, not wanting to interrupt the man's work. Well, I think he wants to, but not wishing to. Not. How about something like careful not to? Careful not to interrupt because he wants Smithy to know that he knows Smithy is an important person, right? So careful not to interrupt his work. It's very important work after all. Smithy's muscles contracted and held as the horse shifted in his grasp, clearly not understanding the difficulty of the job. Horses. This is lovely. This is great. I mean, again, this is, the stuff of romance. You can see the love interest being lovable, right? And I can almost see Karl rolling his eyes as he says, and this is the internal monologue, right? It's in italics. Horses don't understand, but I do, right? So this is brilliant. I love it. But I want a little bit more detail, more color, more flavor here. Yeah. Okay, this is very good because in romance you always want to show why the protagonist loves the love interest. So you have to make the love interest, in this case Smithy, lovable. So you want to see him, acting all professional and being all hunky. So this is very good. Karl waited until the hoof was released and put on his most innocent smile. Smithy, I've lost your shoe again. Do you have time to replace it? Okay, this is good. I don't see anything. Until the hoof was released. Until Smithy released the hoof. Now this, you could say this is passive. You could make this active by saying until Smithy released the hoof. But I think this works here. I don't think we need to do anything here. Let's see. Karl waited until the hoof was released. Yeah. And put on his most innocent smile. Yeah, I think it works. Smithy had lost his shoe again. Do you have time to replace it? Of course he knew the answer, as well as he knew the look that would be on Smithy's face before he even turned around. Okay, this is not so good. This is what I would call a clunky sentence. And this kind of caught me by surprise too. I didn't know that Smithy had turned away, or that, he wasn't actually facing Smithy. So this can be very easily taken care of. We can just say before he even turned to Karl, or before he even looked up, right? It's not a big problem, but the big problem is here. Okay, so do you have time to replace it? Of course he knew the answer, as well as he knew. So he knew what Smithy was going to say, and he is anticipating the look on Smithy's face. And Smithy's face is facing away from him. Okay, so we need to know this before now. So we could add something up here. Okay, so all this time Smithy is working on the horse, so he's looking down as he's filing, right? And Karl is just standing beside the horse, I guess, careful not to disturb him. So he waits until the hoof is released. Yes, so this could be a place to put what Smithy was actually doing, where he was facing. And then he put on his innocent smile and asked this. Okay. So I'll just make a little point here with where is Smithy facing. So we may just need to expand a tiny bit here. So that this doesn't come as a surprise. Of course he knew the answer. I don't think we need this. I think we can just say, so I think that would flow a lot better. He knew the answer and the look on Smitty's face before he even turned around. Okay, so if we keep turning around, then we need to mention that Smitty was actually facing away from Karl. Up here. Exasperation, first and foremost, but something else Karl could never place, yet each time he saw it, the answer seemed closer. How many more shoes would he have to throw? Right. So a little bit plaintive here. Exasperation, of course. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But something else. And I don't think we need this at all. Something else. And I don't think we need this either. So let's do this. And instead of this, because Karl is not really that innocent, is he? He knows. He's anticipating some reaction, some response from Smithy, and I would prefer instead of this to have some visceral reaction, okay, from Karl. Each time he saw it, he saw that expression on Smithy's face, the look on Smithy's face. His heart sped up, or his heart raced. Something like that, okay? So something visceral here. So you want the interaction between the protagonist and the love interest to be active. You want to show that, okay? So something visceral, like his heart raced or something else. Because if you say this, right, then this makes perfect sense. So every sentence has to lead logically to the next sentence. So let's see if that is working. He knew the answer and the look, so you don't need the comma. Just a very short sentence. He knew the answer and the look on Smitty's face before he even turned around. He knew the look, yes. Because you've seen it before, right? He's seen it before. Exasperation, true, but there's something else, okay? And each time he saw it, something happens to him, right? Visceral. We want that visceral reaction. How many more shoes would he have to throw? Again? So this is Smithy. Haven't I just said them yesterday? Last week too. Don't think we need this. I think it's smoother without. So this is backstory, okay? I understand that, but I don't think we actually need it here. Smithy's lips twitched, and that second emotion was so close Carl almost had it. Smithy's lip twitched. Okay, I can't help it. Carl tipped his unshod foot, shifting his weight to the other three. So Carl is being rather coy here, isn't he? So it's almost like he's flirting with Smithy. So it would be nice to reflect that in his action, his behavior, because in his dialogue, he's being flirtatious, right? So there's nothing wrong with this. This is good, but how about something flirtatious to reflect dialogue? Okay, we've talked about this. All that running in the muck, you're going to ruin your feet. Smithy's words were sharp, but his voice was not. It never was, not to Carl at least. Okay, so that's two sentence fragments. I would prefer it to be like this. It never was. At least not to Kyle. How about switching that over? At least not to Kyle. It's just about making the reader smooth for the reader as possible. We've talked about this. So how does Smithy sound when he says this? Right, so maybe we need a little bit of a dialogue tag here or here. You could just say Smithy grunted. We've talked about this, because he is exasperated first and foremost, right? So it would be nice to get a bit of a tone here. Okay, with dialogue, it's always nice to have a tone. All that running in the muck, you're going to ruin your feet. Smithy's words were sharp, but his voice was not. It never was, at least not to Carl. The grey horse pawed the ground, making sparks with the new shoe on the stone floor. This is a lovely line. How vivid is this? You see the horse pawing the ground, right, with one foot, and you see the sparks flying, right, because she'd just been shot. So this is beautiful. You see the stone floor. This is a great line. See how much detail, how much information she's giving us, and she's painting that picture, right? So this is really nice and vivid. It's well done. Oh, okay, so we're done with the second page. So we're going to go on to the third page soon.